Okay, perfect.
Okay, so this is the first ever podcast on the channel. I'm still trying to decide what the podcast should be named. The first name I had come to mind is the Third Great Awakening. So if you look back at history, you have like the first and second Great Awakening, and that's times where the people, like almost like the Renaissance or times like that, where people realized that they were not exploring their potential, and they like were learning new things, gaining new insights and new perspectives. I think we're at a time in our culture and our society, across the world also, but like we need to open our perspective even more to learn new things and to advance more. Like we're too stagnant. We're in the same place and getting stuck. So it's time to move forward. So yeah, does that sound like a good name? The Third Great Awakening.
Yeah. So for me, the third Great Awakening is like a very good name. I
Yeah,
like it a lot.
cool, awesome. So maybe let's make that official. If it changes, I'll let everyone know. Okay. So
Okay.
for anyone watching, this is my good friend. I'll let him introduce himself, but we met in the mission. So the mission we did for the church is where you go and preach the gospel in somewhere that's not your home. So you're kind of by yourself, but you have other missionaries with you. And it was a really good experience because I get to meet people like Luis. So he's gonna share a little bit of who he is and how we know each other.
Okay. So my name is Luiz Alberto. Brazil Buhrer is like it's very hard, the last name.
Yeah.
So I'm from Brazil, of course. And I was trained by Elder Alfaro, Christian Alfaro right now. So he was my trainer back then at Argentina. And that's when all started when we had our first when we first met each other. And basically he helped me a lot through my mission, the early months at my mission, right, actually. So mission is a great place for I guess everyone, especially for young men to be, because that's when and where you can become closer to God. And I know that because I experienced a lot of spiritual about a lot of the spirit actually in my life in the early of my missions specifically, but of course throughout my mission. But at the beginning of my mission was kind of hard. I was I was passing through so much. Uh, Christian know how I was doing, but when we were working, when we were preaching the gospel first, I wasn't feeling very good being at the mission at first, but then I realized I had to do that. It was like a command that God gave to me, and I had to accomplish that. And working on that and on that thought, I was trying to improve me every single day, trying to read the scriptures more, try to feel the spirit even more, and pray every more and more and more, everything more and more. And basically, one day at the beginning of my mission, I guess it was like third, fourth week I was there. I tore my ligament on my right foot, and
Yeah.
that was like horrible. We were just like walking on the sidewalks, and I don't know how I just like tripped on something, and I just like fell, and I couldn't like walk anymore. My foot was like hurting a lot. Then we went to the hospital, and the doctor said that I tore my ligament. I was like, man, why? Like I was improving. I was going to be like better, and that happened to me. Like that sucks a lot. And after that, I became like more like a sad about everything at the mission because like, man, I need to walk, and how can I walk if my ligament's stored? I can't walk. I can't like put my foot on the ground to walk. And I was like, man, I really had to like have the spirit and ask for some support. Otherwise, I couldn't be like here right now. And then the mission president, he called me, and I told him what happened. And then basically he just sent me to the office. And that was like the last time I saw Christian at the mission.
Yeah. It was a few short weeks that we had. It felt like a long time, but it was actually really short. So
Yeah.
yeah, and you mentioned you were already having a hard time before you tore the ligament in your foot. What were some of the things that were like so difficult that made it like all that pile up, like all that made it so difficult? What were some of those experiences?
Well, I guess a new country, a new culture, because like Argentina is close to Brazil. Yes, it's South America, but like it's totally different. It's like I don't know how to express it in English, but it's like so weird because here at Brazil, most states here, people are like nice to you. They're like very how can I say that? They are like um,
Polite.
polite. Yeah, I can say like that. And back there at Argentina, they like, yeah, there were some people that were like that, but like the most part of them, they were not.
Yeah.
And that was like different. And I was like far away from my family, like far away, like some just like thousands of kilometers. But like I was far away from my family, and I never experienced that before. I lived like alone. It's not like totally alone. I had my grandma with me, but like was like different because I never like shared a house with another person that I didn't know. But it was very nice actually. I love like mission is just helped me a lot like right now in my life because after before going to my mission actually I was an antisocial, so I didn't like to talk to people. And that was hard as well for me at mission because I had to talk to people and I just didn't want to. But the mission helped me a lot and changed me a lot, and all the companions I have helped me to through all my mission so much. And right now I'm applying the things that I learned back there at my mission right now at my life.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the biggest thing is that the mission is actually a quick experience, even though it feels like a long time. But everything you learn can be applied for the rest of your life for years and years. Um, so I wanted to ask you, what do you remember? Like, what were some of our first interactions when we met? Like the first couple of weeks, what were they like? What are some experiences you remember when we met in the mission?
Oh, so the first day it was good. Like we went to the mission president house, right? When we had like lunch, it was like the first my first lunch there was like weird because here at Brazil we like rice, beans, like meat or chicken and salad. Like very different. In Argentina, they don't have this costume. They don't have this culture to eat that. So we just had like some empanadas,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, okay, yeah, why not? Like I was like almost a teenager. I was like 18, but like my spirit was like a teenager. So, wow, wow. I mean, so it's like the lunch was the first thing that it called my attention, and then after all the training all the trainings we have with the mission president and assistants, we went to our area, and the first thing we well first of course we had to put my luggage at the house, and then after we went and bought some pizza.
Yeah.
It was like it was a horrible pizza. I didn't like it at all. Like
Yeah.
it was horrible. I mean, I was hungry,
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, it's pizza, so why not?
Yeah.
But it's like, bruh, never more.
Yeah.
I will never eat a pizza at
It's what
Argentina
they say in
again.
Spanish is lo que hay. It's what's there. You know, it's what we
Yeah,
had. So yeah.
yes. I mean, as missionaries, we don't have like a lot of money to waste, so we have to buy the cheap stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so funny. Cause yeah, that was a huge thing I noticed is at first it's obviously new, but I was there for almost 10 months. And then when I went home, it was also new again to me. Like the my home environment was something I knew before, but it also still felt new to me. It was really weird. So um after that few weeks that we had, you had your injury, you went to the office, and then we all got sent home because of COVID. Um, and that's where we stopped talking for a long time because we were in different places. And the rest of your mission is completely different from mine because we like split paths, right? We went different ways.
Yeah.
So I don't know what were some important moments for you in your new mission, like experiences that helped you become an even better person that I wasn't a part of because I wasn't there.
Oh man, I had like so many spiritual experiences back there at Porto Alegre, Rio Grande do Sul, here at Brazil. But one that like was the most like impacting, that impacted me most, was when I was at Santa Cruz do Sul with Elder Rodrigues. He's from Minas Gerais. He's home already, and we were teaching Paula, and she was like having a hard time. Her house, like her brother, stole her. So like he entered her house and stole like everything, like TVs, the remote, like everything that he could sell to buy drugs, basically. And her son was starting to get in this path as well, and she was she felt like um, like lost, basically. She didn't know what to do. And then we met her through our one of our baptisms we had there. And then we one night we were teaching her, and she asked for some food because she didn't have money, and she didn't have food as well. So we helped her with like some basic stuff with members that helped us. And then we were teaching in the last part. When we were about to end the teaching, I felt by the Spirit that we had to bless her. We couldn't leave her house without blessing her. But I thought I felt that my companion had to give her the blessing, not me. And I didn't know how I was going to say him that. I was like, man, how am I going to say like that he needs to bless her? Like his essence, like, oh, you have to bless her. I was like, you have to felt first, and then. But then at the end, he said, "Paula, can we give you a blessing?" And then she accepted as well, of course. And when we were giving her this blessing, I don't know what it was, because like we were at the front part of her house. It was like everything was like it was night. It was like almost like 7 8 hours, and she didn't have light, so it was almost like black. We just like with the flashlights of our cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
And then uh, when we were giving her this blessing, uh, we were like in front of each other, and then in the middle, I saw a light. Like when I opened my eyes, I couldn't see anything, but when I closed it, it's like there was like a ball of light up my face here, and I know that that was the Spirit right there. I know that God was with us, the Spirit was with us, and with her as well. And then when all this finished, I talked to him. I was like, Rodriguez, I had this experience. Like I saw this, and after I finished, he talked to me. He spoke to me that he saw the same thing, and I was like, man, that was so like I didn't know what to do. I was like, my mind was like blown. I was like, wow, this never happened to me before. It's like the first time that I had such experience. I was like, man, I know that these things are true, because of that, of course, was the first experience I had that strengthened my testimony in the gospel of Jesus Christ.
That's so amazing. So I had a question I wanted to ask you about that. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to have an experience, maybe not the exact same, but sometimes people they feel like the Spirit is not so close to them. What would you say? What allowed you to have that experience? What happened before that that allowed you to have the experience that you had?
Okay, so well, basically, I was doing some what all the missionaries does actually. We just pray, read the scriptures. But that day in special, we were fasting, and so when we fast, actually, I feel closer to the Spirit. And I was praying, of course, not like a knees praying. I was like praying my mind, because I wanted to have experience with the Spirit, because I never had one, and I wanted to know like if this is true, right? And so because I asked that to the Lord, and I was doing my best to be the best version of myself, the best missionary I could be. I guess the Lord gave me this opportunity to have such experience.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Because you weren't just waiting for something to happen, you were also doing things on your own time, on your own part. Um, I was gonna ask one more thing. I'm sure at some point in your mission, you realized, like, because looking backwards, you realized that you had been a certain way in the past, and then now you're different. And one of these things that changes in the mission, I think, is that you learn how to forget about your own desires, and you learn to accept more what God wants you to do. And that's when you start feeling the Spirit more, right? So at what moment did you look back and realize that your desires had changed and that now you were only looking for what God wanted instead of doing what you wanted to do? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So I had this feeling first when I was like, I guess 6 months into the mission, and I was like, I was just doing my daily routine, reading the scriptures, praying, contacting people, and then I realized I was like, man, I guess this is what mission is. When you focus on helping others and forgetting about yourself. And since that moment, I realized that the mission was the right place to be, was the right thing to do. And I know that basically when I lost myself, I found myself. So I knew what I had to do.
Yeah, that's so amazing. Okay, so before we move on to another topic, I was going to ask you one last question. If you could share one of your favorite things about the mission, like something that, if you could only say one thing to another person about your mission, what would it be? What would that experience, or what would that be? What's your favorite part about the mission?
I guess the favorite part about the mission, my favorite part is helping others and seeing they being baptized and enter the church, not because we forced it, because we don't force people to do that, but because they want to and they feel by the Spirit that this is the truth. This is like the main point of the mission, and it was the main point that helped me through the mission as well.
Yeah. I do think that when people focus on themselves more than other people is when they enjoy life the least. That's when they're the least happy. Because the same experience that you had with your foot, it also affected me, right? But what it taught me a lot of things. One is that before that experience, I had in my mind my own plan of how I wanted to do things, how I wanted to be a missionary, how I wanted to have success. I wanted to have people help people be baptized, but I only wanted to do it in my own way. And then all of a sudden, you had your injury, and it put everything on pause. So we had to change everything in our schedule to try and get your medical care, your attention. And after that, of course, you had to be resting. You couldn't be walking on your feet, and so it caused me a lot of stress. But it didn't need to, because if I was willing to do what God wanted me to do, I would understand more that it's more important to be helping you than to be doing my own thing. But at the time, I was thinking like, wow, this is messing everything up, because we had these couple things going for us, and I want to get here, we're here, and then all of a sudden we're stopping, and that made me very frustrated. But then I read a scripture. It says it's in First Peter chapter 5. I think it's like verse 6 or something like that. It says to cast your cares upon the Lord because he cares for you. So it's like God is already doing his part to help you out. But if you're not willing to work with God, then your life won't be the way you want it to be. You won't feel happy. So I felt so much stress because I was only thinking about my own self. But then the experience with you helped me open my eyes and see everyone has hard times and everyone goes through things. The only person that you can trust to help you through is not your own self, it's Jesus Christ. And so that taught me that was a good important lesson. So if you didn't have that injury, then I wouldn't have learned an important lesson. So like we both have things to be grateful for, even though it was a tough experience. So yeah, it
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
sucked, but yeah.
Yeah, for
Okay.
me it was like worse because I was feeling like, man, I'm just being like just like a scam, like how can I say that? Brazil was we say uma pedra na bota, like a stone in your boot,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
man, I just like I'm not helping at all. I just like being here, just existing here.
Yeah. That's the thing is like I had to realize it was way worse for you than it was for me. I wasn't in pain. I wasn't suffering. It was just almost like like you said, a little bit annoying. But like for you, it was hurting a lot. It was a lot of pain, and it was a lot of annoyance on top of that. So, um, now I want to change the topic of the conversation to like for anyone watching that isn't super aware, I guess, of the culture where you come from, because your father is successful and he's allowed you to have different exposure, like you've traveled and you've had exposure to different cultures and stuff like that. You know English, you know Spanish, you know Portuguese, all these things. So I'm sure you know things that most Americans might not be aware of when it comes to the differences between cultures. Does that make sense? So what are some things
Yeah.
you think that would be helpful for people in our country, our culture, to know about your culture?
Okay, so first of all, we don't have only favelas here at Brazil.
And what's a favela?
Favela is like the Las Vichas that we had back there in Argentina.
Kind of like a slum, we call it in English,
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
slums. Yeah.
uh-huh. Exactly. So yeah, of course at Brazil we have these because well we're um country. I don't know how you say that in English, but it was like in desenvolvimento, like evolving. I don't know how to say that, but and basically here in Brazil, there are like a lot of different people. Like we are one country, but each state is different, like very different. Even the Portuguese has some slangs in different states. So at Brazil, there are people that are like very well. They're successful in everything they do. They have like a lot of money to travel around the world. We're not like everyone is poor. We don't eat like monkey meat. And well, basically here at Brazil, we love everyone. Everyone that comes here to Brazil will be received with like love and so the first thing here at Brazil, we love hugs. We love hugs.
That's good.
And I know that the Americans, they're your guys are not like that.
Not really, no.
Yeah, so here in Brazil, I guess we're like more like loving people. Like we love one another. We try to help one another. Of course, there are some exceptions, right? But here, the most part of the population, they want to like know you, like especially if you're like out from Brazil. If you're not from Brazil, you're gonna be treated like almost a god, basically. And if you're American, man, you're done. You're gonna have like everything you want.
That's so cool. So
Yes.
a lot of
Yeah.
acceptance of different people.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And I guess the food is way different from like everything I know, especially at United States. I know that you guys have like your breakfast, like it's like the main I forgot the word. The
Meal?
main, yeah, thanks. The main
Yeah.
meal of your day. Your lunch is just like something just to eat, just to have your stomach full, basically. But here at Brazil, we don't eat like usually we don't eat hamburgers, pizza, burritos, tacos at lunch. It's not from our culture. Our culture basically is the lunch is the main meal of the day. So here we have like rice, beans, meat, chicken, lasagna, pasta, everything you want. And the dinner, we don't have dinner.
Really?
Yes, it's very difficult. It's very hard for someone to eat dinner. Only if like someone invites you to her house, and then you like schedule something for dinner, and then you have it. But here at Brazil, we don't have this culture to eat like I'm gonna eat like I don't know lasagna at the dinner.
Yeah.
Just like
So
like
it
some
doesn't happen
bread and
normally.
stuff.
It's not like it's not even in your mind. You don't think like after lunch, you're like, oh, I'm not going to eat another meal. It's just you eat it all at lunch.
Yes, and basically we have like some snacks in the afternoon, and that's it.
That's so interesting. That's wow. Okay. Yeah, because our dinner, I think lunch is something that it's more like a snack sometimes, but like breakfast and lunch, or sorry, breakfast and dinner for us are very important. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's really weird. I don't understand who made it that way. Maybe it's an English thing. I don't know. But I was gonna ask you. So one thing I noticed too, from being I've lived in Argentina and I've lived in right now I'm living in Utah. I've lived in several different states, but everywhere you go, you meet people from other countries here, like people from all of South America. And if you are in the East Coast, like New York and Pennsylvania, you meet people who are from Europe and all these things. One thing that's different between Americans and everyone else, I think, is that most Americans don't know what they want for their life. We think we want to go to college, get a job and a career, and make money. And then after that, we don't know what we want. And so a lot of Americans struggle not knowing what their purpose is and everything. And we just had our conversation before this, where you mentioned like all the studying that you're doing and the career you want to go into, and you know more for what you want for your life than a lot of people want in America, you know? So I noticed that a lot of people in other countries are more focused about like accomplishing something. Like they know what they want. Does that make sense? Like do you notice that difference too?
Well, I guess yes, pretty much. Here at Brazil, we when we like when we're finishing our man, I forgot the word again. My English is so rusty right now. Um, when we were finishing the high school, yeah, I
Yeah, high
remember.
school.
When we were finishing high school here in Brazil, we like basically we know what we want for our lives in the future. So that's something that the schools teach us. Like since our first year at the high school, they say, "Oh, sooner you're going to be out of high school and you're going to college, and you have to search like something that you can fit on to work and work on that for the rest of your life, basically." So that helps a lot.
Okay, so yeah, that makes sense because in here in America, a lot of times we think that we want to do something that we love, like our passion, and then you kind of just explained you need to find a place to fit in because like sometimes in America we forget we're supposed to be benefiting other people at the same time that we get benefited. We want everything to come to us, but we're not always willing to give to other people. And so it makes sense that like in your career, if your skills don't help someone else that has money to give you, then you're probably not going to be successful. Like we think that just because you love something and like you deserve to be paid, and that's not so true, I don't think. But I think what makes sense
Yeah.
more is what you said of fitting in somewhere where you're needed, where your skills are needed. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, I guess. So, are you familiar with the term of work ethic? Do you know what that means?
No, I don't know.
So, ethic is like a code of like your personal values, if that makes sense. So, like
Oh, okay.
when
Yeah.
you have a
Okay.
work ethic is how you choose to work, and it's not influenced by other people. It's how you choose to work personally, like the standards you uphold to do anything in life. I don't know. Do you think work ethic is different in Brazil than it is from people you've met other places, like maybe the United States? I don't know.
Actually, I guess it's almost the same. In my opinion, they're the same.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. I think it because I think the difference is maybe the focus. Does that make sense? Like maybe I want to work hard, but I don't know what I'm doing. But maybe you know what you're doing, so your work brings more results. Maybe like if you know what you want more.
Yeah, that's a good view. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that view, yes, it's different. Because here at Brazil we have like more focus when what we wanted to do with our lives, basically. So I was doing accounting, and then I changed my course to software engineering, yeah, as I said to you. And basically, that's what I want to do in my life. That's what I'm focusing right now because I love technology at like everything, like computer and programming and uh, making computers as well, like the hardware part. So I love everything. So basically, you have to find something that you want to do and is good for you, and something that gives you money.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, we know that we have to have money, because this world, if we don't have money, basically we can do anything.
Yeah,
So
that's
you have
very
to find
important.
like your passion, basically. So you have to find where you fit, where you're needed, and if that gives you money, of course.
Yeah, that's a good point. The thing that a lot of people forget is that your work is not supposed to be your life. Like you're you're gonna spend time at work, but at the same time, what are you gonna do with the rest of your time? And so, money is what society gives you in exchange for what you give to society, but that isn't 100% of your life. That's like part of it. And then so you can take that money and then you can build you the life you want, especially having a family and doing things like that. A lot of people kind of go to work, come back, and then they're tired and they kind of like eat, go to sleep, and then go back to work. And so that's very common in America. I don't know if it's the same in Brazil, but a lot of people don't have um, things that fulfill them outside of work. But they expect work to be something that fulfills them, but it's not all the time. Maybe sometimes, but yeah,
Yeah, here in Brazil is the same. We have a lot of people that live like that, just like work. It's called workaholic, right?
yeah,
Just like work, and don't have a time to like rest or have some time with the family. And yeah, that's something that is gonna like drain you daily,
yeah,
because you have to rest. You have to have your rest. You have to focus on yourself and your family. Otherwise, everything around you is gonna like fall down.
yeah. One thing I've been thinking about is I'm getting ready to start college. I haven't done any classes yet, but um, even before I decide my career, I think one idea I've had is to have a creative idea of maybe a product or like a company or something. Have that be like my actual plan, but then get into a career where I can learn about how to make this product actually work, if that makes sense. So like while I'm working, I'm earning money, but also learning skills that will help me eventually sell a product or make a company or have an idea that will be my actual like um, source of income. Like I don't know, like not just the job and the career is my first step, not it's not my destination. I use it as a step, and the whole time I actually had another idea I wanted to do the whole time, and then use the money I get from my job and put it into this creative idea, if that makes sense. That's what I've been
Yes.
thinking about.
Yeah, that's something like we need to evolve. Like we need to sell ourselves, basically. When you are like putting your money on something you want, like your dream, something you want to do, like a company you want to start, that's perfect, because we need companies right now. We need employment, basically.
Yeah,
So the world, we have like a lot of people that are unemployed. They are looking for some jobs and they can't find it. And with this idea on creating like what you want to do, that's perfect. It's just perfect, because you're getting money from it. You're gonna get money, of course, and you're going to help others, of course, to get their money and basically like sustain their family.
yeah. So we have about 2 minutes left before the call is going to end. And maybe we'll have more conversation about this later. I just wanted to say one last thing of if you consider the whole condition and the state of the world right now, if uh, if you have the opportunity to do something you like to do and be paid for it, that's such a blessing. At this point, a lot of humans, a lot of people across the planet have to work 10 times harder just to be able to eat and to be able to have water to drink. And so, if you're in the opportunity where you can just make money doing something you like to do, then like you said, you have to take it to the next step. Like I don't think it gives us an excuse to take it easy. Just because it's easier for us doesn't mean we have to take it easy. I think it's
Yeah,
important to have the next goal in mind. So if you picture like a mountain that we're climbing, like for generations, our family has been climbing this mountain. You did not start at the bottom. You started somewhere up on the mountain. And then if you go farther up the mountain, then your children start off in a better place than what you did.
yeah,
I think that's the whole goal, is to realize that if it's easy for you, you need to keep climbing and then do something else. Maybe you don't make it to the top all the way, but you make it far enough so that your children have something, and then once you have a lot, you can give to other people.
exactly. one thing I like is like we have to think about like everything. Basically, like Facebook, like all the companies, which like Facebook, Apple, and I don't know, Amazon, everyone started with like at the bottom. I'm doing like the Harvard course, and I saw a video that Mark Zuckerberg was like giving some speech at the Harvard. There was like 4 or 5 people there. His idea on Facebook, and that's where it all started. And look at him right now.
Yeah.
So we have to start somewhere.
Yeah. And that's probably where we're going to end right now. So we got about 20 seconds left, but do you want to say anything? You want people to follow you on Instagram or what? Do you have anything you want to say?
Actually, just follow your dreams, follow what you have to do, ask God, and basically He'll give you everything you need.
Perfect. Amen. That's all I have to say. So super good having this conversation. Hopefully this is the first of a lot of podcasts. And if we ever want to do it again, I'm sure it'll be a good time.
Yes.